What's up, everybody? We have Sam here, who's a pretty solid student of Major League Profits. He's made a lot of money in a short period of time, and he's here to tell you exactly how he's done it. But Sam, before we get into that, you want to introduce yourself? Like, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do for work? What got you interested in this stuff to begin with?
Sure. My name is Sam. I'm in the Michigan area. What I do for work, I'm an IT consultant, work for some large companies. So I do a pretty successful career in that area, but love sports cards, love making money. And so, I've seen your ads, I've seen the program, I've seen the value of the commercials and in some of the information, meeting with the people and coaches and so forth prior to joining the program, and it's been a really good success for me in 33 days so far.
Beautiful. Well, cool. So, tell me a little bit about that. I'm curious. So, before you jumped into the program, like, were you were you always thinking about making money with a side hustle? Were you not really thinking of any? You just saw the ads and you're like, oh, this looks cool. Let me give it a try. Like, where was your mindset in terms of trying to make
Mhm.
money with a side hustle? I'm curious.
Yeah, so the last few years of my career has kind of taken off, but at the same time, I've wanted to just level up as much as I can. So I've looked to do multiple different kind of side hustles. I've tried, drop shipping. I've tried, just doing extra work with my own time, that's just doing like DoorDash on the weekends and stuff like that. And I was just like, I just should be able to, be able to do a little bit more than this. So I've had some success in different areas. And then a couple of years ago, or 4 years now during the pandemic, with the boom with cars, that kind of, I had a friend that was in it, and I'd kind of got bit by the bug, if you will. But
Yep.
in the last couple of years, I've tried to make the sports card thing work a little bit for me, but it hasn't quite worked. I've made some investments that didn't kind of pan out, and I know it's there. I just needed a little bit more help, a little bit more guidance in locating the right cars, working with locating the condition of the cars, making sure that they were. I was a little
Yeah.
bit. I needed to refine those skills, and I think that's what I'm doing now in this program. It's an early start, but I feel much better. I feel that I have the expertise of coaches. I'm behind me to help support me along the way, and just kind of get better at that piece. So I'm looking forward to that doing a lot better for me in the next few months.
Makes sense. Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, any card you bought during the pandemic, you would lose money. You would have lost money on almost every card because stuff was so high. That was
Yeah.
the unfortunate thing. So many people came in to sports cards during the pandemic, and then they were buying cards, and these cards were worth like 5 times more than the year before, and now they're not worth. So like the way it went is like, for example, like a LeBron James Topps Chrome PS10 rookie card was like the card was like worth $1,000 during the pandemic at its height. It went all the way up to 30 grand. And
Hmm.
now it's fallen. It's like 5 grand now. So sports cards are still like double to triple where it once was before the pandemic. But anyone who got in during the pandemic, you were screwed basically. I mean, whatever you bought is worth less than it was today. And most people, because they're newbies, they were getting in just buying stuff and it was going up in value, kind of like crypto, where it's like, oh my God, anything I buy is gold. It's just gonna go up. And then once the pandemic started to end, and what goes up that much must come down, and people lost a lot of money. So if it makes you feel
Yeah, that
any
was
better.
It does. And that was definitely the feeling during that time. It's like, oh, anything I buy, but then you realize PSA is taking 9 to 12 months plus to, grade your cars, and then they coming
Yeah.
back and the market's going down. It's like, oh, this did not work out the way I thought it would.
Yeah. And, and it's funny because so before the pandemic, sports cards, I like people find it hard to believe, but before the pandemic, sports cards are still a very big thing. Like I paid for my whole tuition through college, through sports cards for college. And my buddy and I used to joke, so sports cards would like steadily go up. It would go up like 50 to 75% every year. And then during the holidays would like fall 20%. So it would like every year for like the first 5 years I was in it, it would go up like 50, 60%, fall 25% during the holidays. Next year, go up 50%, fall 25%. So like I was used to seeing go up and then come down a little bit, go up, come down a little bit. That was like kind of the trend. And then when the pandemic happened, I was like skittish. I was like, this is insane. Like these cards, like sure, I'm making a lot of money, but like I was trying to sell as quickly as possible because I knew crash. It took like 3 years for it to crash, but I still remember like even like some crazy shit. Like this is a crazy story. So like Trey Young was like
Hmm.
in the beginning of the pandemic, it was like late 2020, like November 2020. He was like the hottest thing, like the hottest thing. And I swear to God, there was a card show in Dallas and during the pandemic, and his silver prism PSA 10 that's worth like maybe $200 now was $1,000 on Friday. Walking into that card show, by Sunday it was worth 3 grand. Makes no
That's
sense.
nuts.
Yeah. But anything like that, it's gonna crash. Um, but yeah.
I definitely
But
got burned
anyways,
on some Trey Young cards.
yeah, he's fallen a lot. I had actually Trey Young because of that crazy spike. He's actually Trey Young is that card. I bought a card of him is the most percent profit I ever made on a card. I bought a Trey Young black gold signatures prism auto for $2,000 on eBay. It's a Beckett 9. Cracked it out, sent it to PSA. And I don't know if you remember, PSA used to take like months and months to get back to you. And it took a
Mhm.
long time, but I was actually thankful for it because Trey Young's value went skyrocketed by the time I got back by the time it got back. And that same card I sold, like Trade Dash sold for 24 grand. Um, which is pretty crazy for one card. But I got a 10 and then also Trey Young's value skyrocketed, which is helpful. But anyways, moving on. So tried a few side hustles. You like sports, you like sports cards, you tried to make it work, didn't work. And then you got into the program. So like when you were first, I'm curious, I always like to ask this question. So
Mhm.
when you first like see these ads or like YouTube videos or whatever you saw, and you're like, you see them, was it like, oh, let's do it? Or was it like, oh, I'm a little skeptical. Like where was your mind?
No, I wasn't skeptical at all. I knew the value was there. I'm a big proponent of like coaching is very, very beneficial. It's mentorship, coaching, those are the kind of things that can help you, get along in life, get further. I was kind of thinking about it and I was, just looking at some of the feedback that I was seeing on some of the videos and so forth, especially like on YouTube and so forth. And some people would, either think that they don't know anything about sports cards and this will be too overwhelming. For those people, I would say the coaches, the program, it really takes you through each of the steps, from the bottom up and gets you going the way you need to get going. And the coaches are great and patient with you. So there's no dumb questions, anything like that. And then I think there's some of the people that were kind of in my boat a little bit in the sense that I had some experience, I had some knowledge of the industry. And there's some people that say, you know, this stuff is, common knowledge. Well, if it was common knowledge, why aren't you making money? So that was my thing, right? Where I
Yeah.
had some of this common knowledge, but I was making mistakes. My approach wasn't right. My focus wasn't in the right places. I wasn't buying things at the right time. All of those things matter. And so I'm just feeling like I'm doing a much better job of finding cards and flipping them. So uh, you know, I just feel like that was really beneficial. And so I knew that I wanted to get on board relatively quickly when I saw your ads.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. And it's interesting you say that. So, right, I mean, you probably see comments on my ads or YouTube videos, and it's always people say very similar things like, this is a scam. You can find everything he says online. You
Yeah,
could. At least most of the things I say, probably not everything. There probably are a few hidden tricks I have that are you can't find on YouTube. But most of
for
the
sure.
things in any coaching program, real estate, sports cards, stocks, are on YouTube. They are online, but you're
Mhm.
paying for it to be in an organized fashion and for that speed, right? Because like if you're trying to piece things together on YouTube, like I did when I first started sports cards, it takes you years and years to figure it out. So you have to ask
Mhm.
yourself, a coaching program is not to like tell you things like that are just world shattering that no one else knows. It's to put things in an organized fashion so you can be successful a lot faster. Like, would you pay $5,000 to start learning how to make 3 grand a month today versus in 2 years from now?
Mhm.
I hope so. Most people, that's what coaching programs are for. They're for less
Absolutely.
stress and for speed. So you can be successful right away instead of you having to piece it together and try to figure out, is this true? Is this not true? Like, what should I do? That's all it is. But yeah, well, that's why you're successful because you're a smart guy and you realize that. So going on to money here. So you're in the accelerator program where we actually teach
Mhm,
something. So sports card stuff. And we also teach this little quirky thing called sports betting arbitrage, where I'll let you explain it. But you want to go. So I know you joined the program about a month ago. You want to go into like how long you've been in the program, how you've been making your money, what is it exactly? Go
mhm.
into that.
Absolutely. So I've jumped in the accelerator 33 days ago now. And one of the things I wanted to focus on, because talking with the coaches early on, hey, I know you're kind of coming in with, a set budget. Let's get your budget up. Let's get your bankroll up. And the fastest way we can do that is with sportsbook arbitrage. So I was like, okay, I'm interested. So I started watching the videos, the training. I started talking to the coaches, and I jumped right in. And so this first month and 3 days, I've just been focusing on, converting bonuses in sports books and also to the arbitrage betting, and I made 11,300 through 33 days. So I've increased my bankroll starting from 2,000 to over 13,000.
Sam. People are gonna think I paid you to say that. That number's made up.
No, I can
I
show
get
it.
that all. I get that all the time. People are like, Eric pays these people. I'm like, I don't. I don't pay these people. Like, it's actually true. Because like, it's funny because like the whole sports betting arbitrage thing. I tell people it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because it
Mhm.
sounds too good to be true. Basically, you're just hedging bets and making guaranteed money essentially.
Yeah,
And I tell people, I'm like, listen, it's true, but the way this whole thing works with like coaching, right? Just like you, right? Think about yourself for a second. It's funny how it comes full circle. So like, right? You see ads and you see videos of me talking about the idea of making money with sports cards and sports arbitrage. And then you go on YouTube and you start to look at testimonials and you see people like yourself, this video we're doing right now, and you're
hmm,
like, oh, this is actually legit. And then this video we're doing right now is going to get more people into the program that were on the fence or skeptical, even though you weren't really skeptical. But I tell people, I'm like, listen, it's in our best interest to make you as much money as possible. We make more money if you make money. Like, because this video we're doing right now is going to get
absolutely.
us more. Like, that's how business works, right? It's a win win. It's
Mhm.
like the biggest business in the world is Amazon. It's because they do an amazing job with their customers. They get people their shipments the next day or two, right? So it's like business done properly is a win win. Like, that's just how it goes, right? Because we realize if you start doing bad by people, right? There's Reddit threads and bad Trustpilot reviews and bad YouTube videos, but like that's how business goes. But yeah, so
Absolutely.
11,333 days. So you took 2 grand and turned it into 13 grand
Hmm.
essentially in 33 days. And that's just with the arbitrage stuff. So I know with the sports card stuff, you can't really make it takes about a month or so for the first profits to come in, right? You got to get the cards
Exactly.
created. But you want to go into the sports card stuff a little bit. Like, how much do you expect to
Mhm.
make here if you had to take a guess in the next few months? What types of cards have you been buying? What are you getting them graded with PSA? Like, go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I got about 45 cards in PSA right now. I got quite a few Pokemon cards actually, and
Ah,
getting
good.
on the calls with some of the coaches, they kind of put me in that direction, and I started looking at the margins and like, yeah, Pokemon's where is that? Especially in what was it, like September, October timeframe, where it's kind of not a place, you want to necessarily get any sports cards with
Yeah,
with
it's a
all the
weird time.
seasons starting. So I got a
Yep.
lot of Pokemon cards out there. There was a new set of Pokemon that just released a couple weeks ago, so I got some key cards from there that I'm hoping will do well. Um,
Nice.
and then
What was
aside from that,
the big chase card in that in the new set?
so it was a Pikachu card that's like an ultra rare, and I don't know too much about Pokemon stuff,
Oh,
so
neither
this
do
is,
I. Even though I
yeah,
teach it, neither do I.
but I do know Pikachu, and it's just like it's a number like a 238 out of
What
whatever.
could you buy at Raw and what's it worth as a
So it
10?
goes it goes for about 450 raw, and because it was brand new, the
Wow,
first one,
450 Raw.
yeah, the first PSA 10 went out for about 15,000. So I bought a
Wait,
couple,
15,000?
15,000 first PSA 10. Yeah, and you know that thing where sets first come out, there's hype and
Holy
stuff like that.
shit.
So now the last few PSA 10s, there's quite a few more, but they're still going for about 2 to 3,000. So it's still
Yeah.
a pretty good,
So
what,
you
five,
could get it
six
for
X,
around and what are Raws right now?
450.
So like you can get a Raw for like 450. Wow, that's a usually Pokemon like the chase card in the set usually doesn't go for that much, but that's shit. I may have to buy a few then. I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah.
I may
There's
have
a
to take a
couple
look.
from the new set that have pretty good multipliers, but that's the biggest one.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, the Pokemon stuff's good because you don't need to. There's no seasonality. You don't really need to worry about
No
like if the
injuries. Yeah.
card. Yeah, because like with sports, it's stressful because if you get the cards back too late once the season starts, usually you're kind of screwed. But even if PSA has a hiccup and takes an extra month or a few weeks, it doesn't really matter. This stuff is
Hmm.
pretty stable. It actually slowly goes up over time, believe it or not. So it has that initial drop off when it gets released, but it just slowly goes like this over time, um, which is pretty cool. How much? I'm curious. The 45 cards you sent to PSA, how much
Hmm.
money, like overall, did you spend on those cards? And how much profit do you think you'll make if like 60% or 70% 10, if you had to guess?
Yeah, so the average of the each of those cards are about $75. So I don't have the totals in front of me, but whatever 75 times 45 is, so that's how much I put into it. I would, expect about, a 70% gem rate with that's going to lead to about a 50 to 100%, 50, 50 to 100% profit at least.
So if you have 45 cards there, and let's say you're decent, and let's say 30, grade of 10, out of those 30 tens, let's say you make like I don't know, 70, 80, 90. It could depend. I mean, those Pikachus are a lot, but if you make on average $100 from each 10, it's an extra 3 grand. And then what do you see with the arbitrage stuff the next few months? Like, how much you think you could average net profit with the arbitrage stuff going forward?
Well, most of the ARB stuff, on the ARB side that I've been making money has been in November, because I've taken advantage of most of the promos. Now there are still promos that happen throughout the year, especially with offshore books. So I think the program teaches that you'll get 1 or 2K a month promos. So I expect at least that. The arbitrage through 2 weeks, I've been aggressive with it, and I made 3 grand. So
Wow. Oh,
that's
wow.
six a month in my book plus the promo. So we're looking eight, and I'm shooting for the moon. I'm looking for 10 plus a month from sports books, and then I'm going to grow the sports card business as well.
Yeah, there's a guy in the program that Gene, he does the arbitrage stuff basically full time now, and he actually lives in California, which is
Hmm.
far worse of a state than what you're in for it because there's no U.S. sports books, and he makes 5 grand a week profit. So he's yeah, I've
I
seen people
believe it.
take it pretty far. It's pretty cool. Um, well, this has been a good call. Be prepared. I will probably post this on YouTube and be prepared for people to message you or people to comment that you're a paid actor or something.
Absolutely.
uh, but I'll give this a post to the Discord. And one last question, or not a question, I guess promotion. I'm gonna ask for a promotional piece here. Let's say
Hmm.
someone comes up to you on the street and they're like making money with sports cards, sports betting arbitrage, these ads seem like a scam. What would you say?
Somebody comes up on the street, I'm like, if you're looking for money for a job that could give a side hustle to you for sure, maybe in a lot of people's cases, even replace your job, you want to do this. You definitely want to commit to this kind of program, listen to the coaches, do the training, do the work, and you'll find yourself making money in no time, as I've shown in 33 days, with a relatively low bankroll. And you know, this has a potential for replacing your income and definitely supplementing it. Stop looking at the other stuff. Do
Yeah,
this.
I agree. Simple is good. Simple is good. But Sam, I do appreciate you coming on. We'll throw this around on the Discord, YouTube, all this stuff in the next week or two. But
Okay.
man, I really appreciate it. Keep making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to it.